Hello everyone, and this is my presentation of Infrastructure and Climate, the Effects on the Egyptian People. For every climate, there is a mindset that the people currently living in that climate have to survive mostly all environmental elements. The first thought that can go through a person's mind is to set up shelter and initially harvest all available food and water. This can work initially, but what happens when forces out of your control damages your chance of survival or future generations to come? This is currently the issues Egyptians are facing if they are unable to maintain proper infrastructure and agricultural life with the ever-increasing climate change. Let's discuss the current infrastructure and agricultural land of Egypt. Egypt's infrastructure has improved over the last few years. Many have access to main roads, a more stable power grid, and telecommunication systems. However, their railways and ports are in dire need of governmental investments. According to the calculations, 95% of the land in Egypt is inhabitable deserts, and 97% of the Egyptian population must live near the Nile Delta in order to survive. Egyptians have increased their crop production over the last decade, but their population has increased as well. Most of their crops, like citrus, tomatoes, sugarcane, and cotton, are part of their basic survival, but also a major part of their exported businesses. With the temperamental climate structure that global warming has brought upon them, it is becoming harder to sustain important crops. Due to climate change, the sea levels have raised, which causes flooding in the delta locations. As stated previously, 97% of the Egyptian population lives near the Nile Delta for survival, and 60% of this population lives in unregistered housing without proper sewage and drainage facilities. This causes some Egyptians to live in unsanitary conditions or to build their homes at least 7 feet off the ground, which is not stable. The Egyptians are experiencing a food security crisis. The onset from the food crisis is from the building of infrastructures into their agricultural land to support the ever-growing population and more Egyptians moving inland due to the rising sea levels. With the food demand so high and the supply so low, the prices of the local food markets have raised and working families are unable to afford the rising prices. And they are unable to control the pricing because of the devaluation of the Egyptian pound and their reliability for exports on certain goods. With the battle between food and infrastructure stability and their ever-changing climate, Egyptians' ability to keep up with the demand of food and shelter is becoming a foot race. The government's answer to rely on imports more than exports with subsidies is not a long-term answer. The increase of insufficient food security is detrimental to the Egyptian people and their future generations. Building a solid infrastructure and developing self-sustaining crops that can survive an ever-changing climate and global warming will also bring them solace.